Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm here in Ironbridge near Telford. Another popular place for motorcycles, as you can see right now. Now, based on the emails and comments that I've been having, there's some interest in the motorcycle theft that I had in the past. And I thought I'd share this video with you to talk about that. Nice RD350 there, W-Reg 1981. There's a Scrambler 400X, lovely bike. So just out of interest, for those that don't live in the UK, if your bike or vehicle is over 40 years of age, you can register the bike as historic, which means you don't pay any road tax, an annual road tax, and you don't have to have an annual check on your vehicle, because it is assumed that the vehicle, because it's been over 40 years of age, is being looked after by the owner. So it doesn't need to go in for an annual check to make sure it's roadworthy, which is fair comment. Anyway, getting back onto the subject. I think it was the winter of 1994-1995 in the UK, where a motorcycle was stolen from me, and that motorcycle was a Triumph Daytona 1000. So this is at the beginning of the re-emergence of the Triumph Motorcycle Company after its demise in the 1970s, 80s, was it? So it was the re-emergence of Triumph, and one of their models at the time was the Triumph Daytona 1000. Which I believe was Yamaha-based, a Yamaha-based engine and gearbox, but I will not go into the details of that. It was a very fast bike, let's put it that way. Anyway, a few statements here. The bike was relatively new. It was only a year old, I think. It was on what was a K plate of the time, which I think was 1993, so it was about a year old. I never used to ride it on a regular basis. It was deep winter, although there was no snow on the ground. And I never used to ride the machine on a regular basis, so it wasn't a case where I'd pull the bike out at 8 o'clock in the morning and come home at 5 o'clock. That wasn't the case at all. Let's go over here. Woohoo! Traffic. So what happened was, on this particular cold night, I remember the details, it was about 3 degrees Celsius, and I needed to go and get some cash out of the bank, out of the ATM, in readiness for the week ahead. It was a Sunday night. Now, those were the days where, in 1994, cash was still used on a normal basis. So I had to go and get some money out in readiness for the week ahead, where I would be doing my work with what was British Telecom at the time. This incident happened in Sheffield. When I used to live in Sheffield. I don't live in Sheffield anymore. Haven't lived in Sheffield for 20 years. I do miss the place. And I used to live in a suburb of Sheffield called Frechville. Now, Frechville was a nice area. However, very near Frechville was another conurbation of Sheffield called the Manor. For those that know Sheffield, you'll understand that the Manor isn't the nicest of places, or it certainly wasn't then. Full of all sorts of scoundrels. However, in about 1992, a reurbanization of the manor was underway, and a lot of people from the manor were moved into other areas of Sheffield. And one of those areas was Frechville, where I lived. So the area started getting worse and worse with these new people coming in from the manor. No disrespect for the people that live on the manor, but it is what it is. Facts are facts. Anyway, so on this particular Sunday evening, I pulled the bike out of the garage, took it down the drive, opened the gates to the drive, took the bike out, closed the gates in the garage, got on the bike and went to a teller machine, an ATM, where I could draw some cash out for the week ahead. Now, things were different in Sheffield then, and I still use this approach, but when I'm riding home for the last mile or two, I'll always keep a check of the cars that are behind me, and if any cars are following me, even now. And if a particular car looks like it's following me, and it may not be following me, it's just coincidence, I will not go home. I will go round the block a couple of times just to make sure that whatever car it is not following me to my home address. When on the Triumph T120 or on the Scrambler, I always look in the mirrors to make sure that no one's following me. And on this occasion in Sheffield, 1994, the winter of 1994, I was looking in my mirrors. You know, it was evening time, 9 p.m. at night. No one's on the street, and sure enough, no one was following me. No one. So I went up into the estate and then pulled up outside the house at the end of the drive, got off the bike with the keys in my hand because the garage keys were on the same keyring, opened the gates to the drive, walked up to open the garage and turned around and could see someone on my bike wearing a t-shirt. Now, no one was walking around. So, in hindsight, looking back on it, I realised that this was one of the neighbours who watched me go out on the bike. So, long story short, I ran down the drive to the bike, and as I got close to him, the bike started up. He'd obviously used one of the plungers to plunge out the key, the ignition barrel, started the bike, and then he rode off up the road. I just missed him. So that was the start of the journey. The police were called, and within minutes the police were there asking questions. Now, I think that bike cost me £6,000, and that was in 1993, 1994. So it was an expensive amount of machine relative to the time. Anyway, this guy shot off up at the road, and the police were informed, and they came round and took a statement like they do not do today. They're not interested now. That's how it is. Anyway, my pride and joy had been stolen. 2 days later, So this was on the following Tuesday. It's amazing when you remember things in detail. The following Tuesday, the police gave us a ring on the landline. Mobile telephones weren't a big thing in those days. And the police said they'd found the bike. However, it was linked, the stolen bike, my Triumph, was in a warehouse full of other expensive stolen bikes. And they wanted to monitor this outfit that were stealing expensive motorcycles. Ultimately, a few days later, and I said, yeah, you monitor it, see what happens. Anyway, ultimately, a few days later, the police came and they said, we've got your bike, we've sorted everything out. And basically what it was a drugs funding outfit within Sheffield that were going around stealing motorbikes and selling them abroad and shipping them abroad, where they could easily be registered or where the local domestic rules of whatever country it was didn't demand the registration of motorcycles. Africa, places like that, where there's very little law, shall we say. Even now, please feel free to contribute or comment on whether Africa is lawless. If you've not been there, then you don't know. Anyway, sure enough, it was associated to a drugs ring and the bike was returned to me. The bike was covered in fingerprint dust, which I said to the police I was happy for them to dust the machine down. And that dust washed off. It was a bit sticky, but it did wash off. And sure enough, the details of the drug squad or whatever arrested a number of people and they were sent to prison. They were the days when people were sent to prison. Now, you only get sent to prison for sending a tweet. If you do something really serious, you just get a slap on the hand and you get a 2-year suspended sentence where you don't go into prison. A bit bizarre, really, how we've advanced. However, I appreciate that sending a tweet is a really serious crime today. Bizarre how we've moved on with social media. Anyway, that's another subject. Enough about Keir Starmer. Sorry, I keep on getting his name wrong. That was a joke. Times in the UK are going to be tough. Anyway, that's another subject. Maybe I ought to do a video on that. Anyway, so got the bike back. There was a couple of scratches, and because I'd already started the insurance and because I was only a young kid and didn't know any better, I ended up putting the repairs through the insurance. So 1993, 1994, I would have been 26, 27 years of age, so I didn't know any better. The insurance for the motorcycle originally, fully comp, because it was a brand new bike, was £200. I remember that. And then the renewal quotation at the next, because I got the bike back, it got repaired, and my insurance continued until the expiration of that year's policy. When it came for renewal, the policy went from £200 to £800, of which I then decided to not bother renewing the policy. I sold the Triumph Daytona 1000, a superb machine, which was lovely, to, ironically, a policeman. And he bought it. 27 years old with a brand new Triumph Daytona 1000. Absolutely wonderful bike. I used to love the white clocks on it and the orange background, or orange or red background. Anyway, so that's the story. And that's where I kept off the road for a few years, and used to ride off-road and enjoy going off-road. And that's basically the story. This particular video sort of complements the video that I asked out to everybody. What's the situation regarding insurance? Oops, sorry. Regarding insurance and rising in the thefts in the 21st century, because I don't know what happens now. If your policy is £200 and your bike gets stolen, is it a case where it goes up to £800? Comments below. Let me know your story. Hope you enjoyed this, and let's hear your stories of the bike that got stolen. I'll see you soon. Don't forget to ride safely. Be kind to everyone and eat healthily. You don't want to be diabetic. See you soon. Bye-bye.